The message came at dawn, flooding every screen, speaker, and radio frequency on Earth. A voice, smooth and mechanical, spoke in every language simultaneously. Humans of Earth, we are the Zeldar Dominion. Your planet has been deemed suitable for integration. Resistance is illogical. Cooperation is advised. No threats. No grand declarations of war. Just cold, detached certainty. Their ships descended soon after, massive, sleek constructs of black metal, gliding through the skies with eerie silence. Cities across the world stood still, watching. Governments scrambled for a response. The public reaction, however, was unexpected. Meme culture erupted within minutes. #Welcome Zeldar trended worldwide. Fake surrender letters circulated online. A video titled Alien Invasion Speedrun, any %, racked up millions of views in under an hour. The Zeldar expected awe. They got sarcasm. They landed in major cities, expecting either immediate surrender or futile resistance. Instead, they were met with calm, eerily unconcerned humans. A delegation approached in New York, world leaders, military officials, and a lone civilian in jeans and a hoodie. He stepped forward, smiling. "Welcome to Earth. You should probably leave." The alien emissary hesitated. It had studied thousands of conquered species. The pattern was always the same: shock, submission, or desperate resistance. But this was neither. The human's tone wasn't fearful. It wasn't even defiant. It was a warning. Still, the Zeldar proceeded. Their soldiers fanned out, taking in Earth's infrastructure, cataloging resources, analyzing human biology. They saw no advanced cybernetics, no genetic enhancements, no centralized planetary defenses. Primitive. Soft. Easy. Yet, unease crept in. Surveillance footage captured bizarre behavior. Humans cracking jokes in the face of armed patrols. Civilians taking selfies with confused alien officers. A child walked up to a towering Zeldar enforcer and offered it a lollipop. In a hidden chamber aboard their command ship, a Zeldar analyst reviewed the footage. The data didn't align. If humans were weak, why did they show no fear? If they were primitive, why did they look so amused? Something wasn't right. Then, a report came in: an alien patrol had gone missing in a rural area. No distress signals, no signs of struggle. Just gone. Then another. Then another. The commanding officer ordered an investigation. Troops were dispatched. They combed through forests and cities, expecting resistance, expecting a battle. They found nothing. But humanity was watching, waiting, and smiling. The Zeldar were prepared for war. What they weren't prepared for was insanity. Their missing patrols weren't taken in battle. There were no explosions, no firefights, no enemy soldiers in sight. Instead, their troops vanished without a trace, their last transmissions filled with confusion. Then came the footage, grainy, shaky, recorded by human civilians. Alien warriors walking into abandoned buildings and never coming out. Others stepping onto streets, only for the lights to flicker and their signals to cut. The Zeldar were being hunted, but by what? They deployed reinforcements, only to watch them disappear the same way. No bodies. No blood. Just the lingering, unsettling knowledge that something was terribly wrong. Then the broadcast started. "Attention, dear invaders," a distorted voice rang through their own communication channels. "You're playing the game wrong." The Zeldar commanders demanded answers. What game? There were no battles, no resistance in the conventional sense. Instead, they faced an enemy that operated like nothing they had encountered. There were no rules. No order. Just chaos. Their warriors encountered empty buildings rigged with alarms that blasted deafening sirens at random intervals, shattering their advanced sensory inputs. Fake distress beacons lured them into maze-like ruins, where walls had been collapsed behind them. They weren't being fought. They were being toyed with. The first major battle should have been an overwhelming victory. The Zeldar deployed heavy infantry, energy cannons, air support, only to be met with makeshift drones built from scrap, swarming their forces like angry hornets. The sky filled with interference, jamming their signals, while human guerrilla fighters picked them off one by one from unseen vantage points. They adapted quickly, recalibrating their strategy, reinforcing their armor, deploying countermeasures only for their own technology to turn against them. The humans had hijacked their systems, broadcasting crude, taunting messages across their battle networks. "Try again. Too slow. We are behind you." Then came the prisoners. Zeldar soldiers, captured alive, were returned unharmed. Not tortured. Not interrogated. Just sent back. And that terrified them more than anything else. Because the ones who returned were broken, silent, wide-eyed, refusing to speak of what they had seen. One finally spoke. A single, trembling sentence. "They don't fear death." The commanders didn't understand. Every species feared death. It was universal. It was logical. But these humans, they laughed in its face. Their wounded still fought. Their dying still pulled the trigger. And when captured, they whispered warnings instead of pleas. "You should have left." Something shifted in the invasion force. The fear they had expected from humanity was nowhere to be found. Instead, it had taken root in them. And as they scrambled to regroup, to reassess, to understand, humanity was already closing in. The Zeldar had never retreated from a battlefield. Until now. Entire squads were abandoning their positions, fleeing back to their ships, ignoring orders. Some refused to leave their bunkers, whispering about shadows that moved when no one was looking, voices in their radios that didn't belong to their own. Their commanders tried to reassert control. The humans had no starships, no planetary shields, no superweapons. On paper, Earth should have been theirs. Instead, their forces were dwindling, not from any grand battle, but from a series of calculated, surgical eliminations. An elite strike team was sent to capture human leaders. It never reported back. When a retrieval squad was sent to find them, all they discovered was a single helmet, its visor cracked, a small note attached. "Nice try." The counteroffensive began without warning. One by one, the massive alien ships that hovered over cities lost power. EMPs, cyber attacks, something even their most advanced systems couldn't counter. Their orbital command was in chaos. "Weapons are offline. Our targeting systems, we're being jammed." Then the first explosion ripped through their fleet. Not from human missiles, but from within. Something had breached their ships. Human forces, armed with nothing but captured weapons and improvised explosives, had somehow infiltrated their high-security zones. How? A Zeldar commander roared. The answer came through a hijacked transmission. A human soldier, face obscured by a combat helmet, casually leaning against a console aboard one of their own ships. He gave a lazy salute. "You left the door open." Panic spread. Earth wasn't just fighting back. It was winning. Not through superior firepower, but through sheer, unrelenting unpredictability. Every escape route was cut off, every fallback point compromised. The invasion force had gone from conquerors to prey. Then came the worst realization of all. The humans weren't pushing them off the planet. They weren't driving them away in desperation. They were allowing them to retreat. Herding them. Playing with them. The Zeldar, a species that had brought entire star systems to their knees, were now scrambling, desperate to escape the one world that refused to bow. And as their remaining ships began breaking orbit, as their high command frantically sent distress signals to their homeworld, a single message played across every surviving screen, across every frequency, across every desperate mind in their fleet. "We warned you." The surviving Zeldar ships broke free from Earth's gravity, their commanders gasping for stability, for order, for anything resembling control. But there was no relief. No safety. Only the lingering dread that they had made a mistake far greater than they could comprehend. They were leaving Earth, but they weren't escaping humanity. One by one, their systems failed. Engines flickered, navigation scrambled, weapons locked themselves into inoperability. The humans hadn't just fought them, they had infiltrated them. The ships weren't theirs anymore. Alarms screamed as their own warships turned against them, airlocks opening into the void, artificial gravity fluctuating at random, emergency thrusters sending them careening into each other. Their own fleet was tearing itself apart, and there was nothing they could do. A final transmission hijacked their command network. The same masked human from before, still calm, still maddeningly casual. "You wanted Earth," he said, tilting his head. "You can keep the wreckage." Then, silence. The flagship's main display lit up, showing the planet they had tried to claim. It should have been a simple conquest. A minor footnote in the Zelthar's long history of expansion. Instead, Earth had become something else entirely. A warning. The few ships that managed to jump to FTL carried no victory, no spoils of war, only a message, burned into every survivor's mind, a name that would become legend. Within days, the Dominion declared Earth a forbidden zone. No future expeditions. No retaliation. No revenge. The risk was too great. And yet, despite the absolute order to never return, some still whispered about it. The death world. The humans. The horror of an enemy that didn't just resist, but enjoyed the fight. Because deep down, the Zelthar knew. They hadn't survived because humanity failed to kill them. They survived because humanity allowed it. And next time, there wouldn't be a warning.